Okay, welcome everyone to our council meeting, our first council meeting of 2022. Today is Tuesday, January 25th. Welcome to council and staff, and to those of you who may be tuned in to us at home watching today's council meeting or the recorded version hereafter. So I'll call the meeting to order at this time, and it is exactly 1 p.m. And at this time, I'd like to do the land acknowledgement, please. We respectively acknowledge that the township of Asphodel-Norwood is located on the Treaty 20 Mississauga territory in the traditional territory of the Mississauga and Chippewa nations, collectively known as the Williams Treaties First Nations, which include Curve Lake, Hiawatha, Alderville, Scugog Island, Rama, Beausoleil, and Georgina Islands First Nations. We respectively acknowledge that the Williams Treaties First Nations are the stewards and caretakers of these lands and waters in perpetuity, and that they continue to maintain this responsibility to ensure their health and integrity for generations to come. Thank you. At this time, I'll ask council for a moment of silent reflection so we may reflect upon our duties of today as councillors. Thank you. Thank you. And I'll ask now if any of the councillors has a declaration of pecuniary interest at this time or at time of subject when it comes up in our agenda. Seeing no hands, thank you. And I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda for January 25th, today, 2022, be approved as circulated and or amended. Motioned by Wilburn, Councillor Archer, seconded by Councillor War. All in favor? Perfect, thank you. Looking for a motion then to approve the minutes of the council meeting minutes of December 14th, the public meeting minutes of December 14th, and the COA public hearing minutes of December 14th, and that the minutes be adopted as presented. Motioned by Deputy Mayor Burt, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Any discussion on them? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any business arising from those minutes? Councillor Walsh, please.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. Basically more of a comment regarding the Shop Home for the Holidays event. Just really want to extend out an awesome thank you to the staff for putting on a pretty spectacular evening for the very first time ever. We had great participation and turnout, considering that it wasn't the nicest night out there, but no, I just think a job well done, and nice to see lots of people in the community out supporting it.
Well said, thank you. Anyone else have any comments? All right, thank you. Seeing none. Under the consent agenda then, correspondence for information, that we have C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, and then the reports of R1. I'm looking that we have a motion then to approve the consent agenda as circulated. Motioned by Councillor War, seconded by Deputy Mayor Burt. Is there anything anyone would like to talk about on these reports? Councillor War, please.
Thank you, Mayor, and through you. I just wanted to comment on C2, the public health announcement with the new chief medical officer for Peterborough. I just wanted to comment that I think it's unfortunate reading in the paper that we have people protesting at a personal residence of a public official, and that regardless of anyone's personal, feelings on vaccinations or non-vaccinations, that I think it's unacceptable that they do it in people's homes, in front of their homes. I just wanted to make that comment.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Burt, I seen your hand, please. Oh.
Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong button there. Yeah, through you, Mayor. I just wanted to pull C3 for the financial indicators report. Just not really any questions on it. We've seen this 4 times now, or 3 at least, and certainly we're looking to be in very good shape, and we are we have certainly moved in the right direction over the last number of years. So thank you to all the work of this council, previous council, and certainly the hard work of all the staff, because it's a good looking report as we move forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Well said. Any other comments from council? No. Candace, did you want to add anything further to the financial indicators at all by chance, or?
No, I think Deputy Mayor Burt capitalized it. We have a low risk rating in all identified categories through the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. That's what we aim to achieve. We have a low risk rating in all categories and have for a number of years now, which is good, because some municipalities are seeing that tax receivable ratio change with the pandemic, and seeing that receivable percentage go above the 10%, which leading into the pandemic, we all weren't really sure what that was going to look like. And I think it's a different complement in each municipality, but fortunately we've been able to remain within the 10%, even with the financial hardship of the pandemic.
Thank you. I just wanted to talk about R1 for a second, about the fire department update of the fourth quarter. Have we had any luck with like the insurance accidents, say on Highway 7, how we are able to collect some time back? Has there been any headway on that as of yet?
None. They've changed policy. The Ministry of Transportation changed their policy, changed how you go about recouping those costs. So we go directly to the insurance companies when we're able, and that seems to be the most feasible and efficient route to go. And we're going to continue doing that in the future. That said, not every call meets the criteria to request reimbursement from the insurance company. So if it's a quick call, you go out and we're out there for less than 30 minutes. It's not really something based on our bylaws that we're able to go back and recuperate. So we're not seeing a lot of calls. As you can see, we're getting the longevity, and that is why we've been able to see the increase in the number of calls annually. And we've seen a steady increase the last, it's been increasing 8 years in a row. But we haven't had to increase the budget to compensate for that, for the man hours that are being put in, whether that be for calls or whether that be for the Wednesday night training nights. And we haven't had to increase the number that is on the roster at each station. And that is because the duration of the calls are going down while the calls are going up. It's an interesting juxtaposition, I guess, but we're keeping an eye on it. But insurance companies is the route we're going as of now, unless Ministry of Transportation changes their process.
Yeah, thanks for that update on that. And also, I was encouraged by in the report about the recruits coming on board or coming and learning. So that's a good news story for our department also. So
It is.
Want to have you send out the word to keep up the good work to that department for us, please. Okay, so we have a motion. It's duly seconded. Any other discussion on this consent agenda? Seeing no hands, all in favor then, please. And then that's carried. Thank you. There's no delegations and presentations today, so now we're on to staff and committee reports. So R2 would be Seamus McDougall. He's on board with us here. He's our lead hand for Parks, Recreation and Facilities. And this report is regarding our 2021 fourth quarter Parks, Recreation and Facilities update. Seamus, the floor is yours, sir, and you're on mute. Oh, you're off. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you. So this is the fourth quarter report for Parks, Rec and Facilities. So we'll start off with facility and parks. The regular monthly inspections are still being done through city software. All documented faults are addressed in a timely manner. Obviously, our parks are not being used as much right now due to it being winter, or most of them have been closed. Grounds maintenance. Township staff are responsible for snow removal and salting of 5 facilities within the township. So they include Westwood Library, Historical Society, Municipal Office / Town Hall, Medical Center, and the Community Center. So the last Monday, we were very busy, and this last week, it's brought a bunch more work. The ball seasons are all done. They finished the end of September. we were able to manage to host 2 tournaments this year. So staff are really looking forward to next year when minor ball, adult ball, and tournaments should return to a more regular how they look. Hanging baskets. So right now we are soliciting quotes for a new supplier, as unfortunately the one we previously used for many years is no longer in business. So we're getting close, and we should be ordering those early February, which would be next week. Millennium Room. So obviously we had started seeing an increase in rentals up until just before Christmas when more restrictions were put in place. And then recently we're in the current 21-day pause. So the Friendship Club has maintained their weekly Wednesday rentals for cards. They fully plan on returning when they are able to. December 7th, we did hold through Peterborough Public Health a vaccination clinic. It was a walk-in for anyone over 12 for first and second dose, and it was booster by appointment for your third dose. It was good to see they were able to administer 290 doses that day. 280 of those 290 were boosters. So a lot of the crowd were elderly or people getting their third dose. They were all set to do another one Monday, January 17th before the inclement weather. They have been able to confirm now, all signs point to it being next Tuesday, February 1st. Same thing, it's going to be walk-in for first and second, appointment for booster, your third dose. Care Partners did hold a staff training session November 1st. It was good to see towards the end of November, the Asphodel-Norwood first annual Business and Community Awards. It was a good event, obviously under the circumstances of there still were restrictions in place, and staff are looking forward to seeing that awards grow. 3 family rentals we did have between Christmas and New Year's to use the Millennium Room. They all canceled once more restrictions were put in place. Turning to parks now, they're still maintained on a monthly basis. The only thing really going on in the parks right now is the librarian has moved for January and February outdoor story time from previously indoor due to make it safer for more participants. Obviously, the one Monday with the inclement weather was canceled, and then due to the freezing temperatures, I think they will be hoping once they can to move back indoors, as obviously colder temperatures, the turnouts might not be as great. Ice plant, everything had been going well. We're over 5 months into the season. We were busy right up until the first of the 21-day pause. Prior to the pause, we were allowing 4 spectators per player into the facility. We initially did have some feedback about why only 4. We did monitor it for over 2 weeks and felt there was no need to increase it, as we had yet to increase more than 70% of what was allowed had actually attended one game, and we had a tournament one weekend. So if on a tournament weekend, we're not seeing full capacity, we feel that 4 is fine. User groups, we have Norwood Minor Hockey, Norwood District Skating Club, Monday Night Men's League, Old Timers, Queen Bees, Kawartha Blazers had been back, Peterborough Ice Cats, Keene Wolverines, Cayley's Crease, Bob Dubay, they're an adult group, Wednesday Adult Pickup, Jordan Webb runs Skills, Peterborough Figure Skating Club rented the ice for a day for a test day, and then Kyle McGriskin. So this year we had hosted, we were able to host 3 tournaments. One in October was a Peterborough AAA, and Norwood hosted a tournament in November and December. During this 21-day pause, we unfortunately did lose 4 tournaments. So the plan is, as of right now, if everything goes all right, Norwood still has 2, one in early February and one in early March, providing they're able to run those given the restrictions that will be put in place. Public skating, we anticipated starting it middle of December, and then we were monitoring it. And as cases continued to rise, we made a decision to postpone it. So obviously, once restrictions are lifted and we see what the protocols and new rules are in place, this decision will be reevaluated whether we start public skating or continue to postpone it. Advertising this year, we were able to secure 2 new rink ads, which brings our total to 31. There's pictures of the new rink boards were in the attachment. We currently have 4 ads behind the benches and 20 wall ads, and staff are preparing a new advertising plan for next year in order to increase all three of those numbers. Staff, here township staff have performed all the necessary functions to a high degree of satisfaction and created an excellent team environment. The operators are experiencing reduced hours during this 21-day pause. The attendants are not being scheduled in for the 21-day pause, but they all plan to return. The decision to assign responsibility of the screening identification proof of vaccine checks to township staff was seen as a positive transition and decision. It took a lot of pressure off the user groups. We also felt that it made check-in being a lot easier with on game nights having two staff there, which allowed two lines, which spread out the home and away team and allowed the flow easier to come into the rink. Another positive decision was the creation of the township screening app. The screening form, this QR code was posted on the front doors to ease anyone that might have forgot to complete it prior to arrival. This again for away teams made it a lot easier for them. Most teams had already done it, or in the event that they hadn't, it was easy for them to do prior to entry into the facility. And at the time of this report, we were awaiting word on what the recreation facilities update would be. We have since then been given an update that as of January 31st, facilities will be able to open. We're still awaiting more word or an update from public health on exactly what that entails. So obviously the only thing they've really said right now is the 50% capacity, but we're just now awaiting guidance from public health on what all the protocols and rules that will have to be put in place.
All right. Thanks, Seamus. That was a great report and very well written. Thank you. Any questions from council at this time on this report from Seamus? No one has any questions? All right, then I'm looking then for a motion then that we receive this report for information then, please. Councillor Archer, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Is there any other discussion? Candace, please.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I just think now might be a good opportunity while Seamus is with us to discuss January 31st versus pushing it forward to general business or the CA list. Just in case there's any questions from an operational standpoint that Seamus needs to answer, if that's okay.
Yeah, please do.
Yep. Okay, awesome. So as of right now, OREG 36420, which is the interior regulation that will govern that governs this stage of the reopening of the province, has yet to be updated for January 31st, which means, as you know, it's devil in the details. So we don't know what the details are. We don't know what the updated regs are. All we know is the press release information that was given when the Premier gave his announcement. Outside of that, we are unsure. What we do know is that non-spectator areas are going to be physical distancing to a maximum of 50%, and spectator areas, physical distancing to a max 50% to a maximum of 500 people. So those are really the only two details that we have at this time. There's obviously going to have to be severe consideration to number of spectators that are going to be allowed into the building, dressing rooms, if there's going to be any regulation that they stipulate on dressing rooms, if there's going to be any stipulation to games, tournaments, development only, number of people on the ice, bench areas, coaching, if they're going to have different regulations for different age groups. Like, we really, of course, I think we'll probably learn in the nth hour, which tends to be the pattern of these things, but just wanted to let council know the 36420 is not updated with the regulations we need in order to update our safety plan in order to send it out and start those conversations with the user groups. So not much of an update, but.
Well, sparked on some questions. Councillor Walsh, please, and you're muted.
Through you, Mayor. So Candace, if I understand, obviously we're waiting for the provincial regulation. And then there is also a chance that Peterborough Public Health will take that regulation and massage it again. So
Correct.
we really, even having that OREG come through on the 30th, we will still have to wait till we have Peterborough Public Health before we actually make our final move forward on what our plan is going to be, correct?
That is correct. So this, the current medical officer of health has tended to place additional orders on top of the provincial regulation. So we need to receive communication from Peterborough Public Health as to whether that's going to be the case or not. That said, they haven't been known to update the regulations on weekends because it is provincial staff that do that portion. So I suspect we should have it Thursday or Friday. If not sooner. So hopefully that's the case, and that Peterborough Public Health can react accordingly in a timely fashion. I mean, other centers may start. You may start to hear buzz. They may start to put out some safety plans or some changes to protocols. Seamus and I've chatted. We're a little bit hesitant to do that. It's difficult to send a document out to the user groups with a set of protocols, and then 2 days later, when the province releases the regulations, go back out with an updated document that changes what we just said 2 days ago. And then there's 2 documents floating around out there, and you tend to then have confusion and conflict as to which document are we actually working under. So it'll be a quick turnaround for Seamus and I, but as we stated, that's nothing new in the last 2 years. So once we'll just keep checking. I have an alert on my laptop. I subscribe to 36420. So hopefully as soon as there's any changes, I'll be aware of it and we'll be able to react accordingly. And I haven't heard that Peterborough Public Health is going to call the recreation managers and the CAOs together for a meeting. Seamus, have you heard anything?
No, not in regards to that. They're hoping to have one this week. I know another adjacent center, they posted out to their user groups postponing their meeting till Thursday, hoping that by Thursday they'd have more information to share with them. But Public Health touched base with us last week, just saying they're still digesting and finding out what was announced, and that they will be in touch with us this week.
And just last comment on it, and I'll pass it to others, is, and I think we would all be aligned that, you know what, if it means we have to wait a couple days beyond January 31st, to your point, Candace, to have one document to go out that is the final one versus one going out today and 2 days later sending a revised, let's just wait the 2 days. I think that we'd all be supportive of that. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Deputy Mayor Burt, you had your hand up.
Yeah, through that conversation, most of my questions were answered. It was, I was just wondering about the Peterborough Public Health and if there was going to be a meeting with the area parks and rec facilities. And yeah, once again, Seamus and Candace, you've been through this multiple times. 2 steps forward and 3 back, and you are able to almost change on a dime. So yeah, once again, let's get it right and hopefully get it out once instead of 2 or 3 times. But I'm sure like I say, you've been there before and you'll be able to move forward with it, whatever rules come your way. So thanks, Seamus, for that detailed report. Appreciate it.
Mr. Ward, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just a comment. So Monday of the 31st will be 2 weeks that most children would have been back into public school and high school. So maybe by Thursday we'll have an indicator if there's any increase in cases that may impact the provincial decision as well. That would be almost 10 days by Thursday. So hopefully that would come down at that date. Just a comment.
Makes sense. Hopefully this is the last time. Hopefully this is the last shutdown.
Couple things. One was when you were talking about public health and how they change it from the Ontario regulation is the way I understand it is that every area or different municipalities or whatever, they're all different with different caseloads and one thing after another for how this Omicron or COVID is. So they take it as our Peterborough County, how we're doing for our numbers compared to say what the Kawarthas are doing or whatever that way. So that's why that happens. The other thing on your report, Seamus, that I wanted to bring forward was when you mentioned about the hanging baskets, there has been a great job on them and lots of comments over the summer, how they look. And I understand that those planters are almost self-watering. Once they're full, they'll stay going for the weekend. They won't necessarily die in the heat. I think you probably already know this, but I think Trout Creek over Camelford Way was the one that used to give the flowers for the planters, but I just thought I'd bring that forward. They're in between Hastings and Camelford on that road there. So just a thought. Anyway, so is there any other comments on this report R2 of Seamus's? All right, seeing no hands, we have a motion and a seconder, I believe, on that. So all in favor then, please. And that's carried. Thank you. All right, now then, R3. Thanks, Seamus, and Happy New Year.
Thanks, you as well.
R3 then would be Kyle Beacock, our wastewater operations manager. And this report is regarding our drinking water quality management standard reaccreditation audit. I said that for you all, Kyle, just to make it easy.
Thanks, Roger. All right, through you, Mayor. Yeah, as Roger stated, we're looking for council here to accept this report regarding the DWQMS for information purposes. So obviously a little bit of background, you guys are aware of this, but in order to operate drinking water systems in Ontario, we have to have an approved DWQMS by an accredited provincial body. Township staff has been developing our DWQMS and the operational plan and procedures since 2016. This is one of many audits that we go through, but this is a 36-month full accreditation audit that this covers, which was conducted on September 27th of last year. As far as financial implications go, the township budgeted about $4,000 out of the water budget last year for the internal, external, and the reaccreditation audit. The results of this audit, we had 2 minor nonconformances and 4 opportunities for improvement. The minor nonconformances were under essential supplies and services, and that one was essentially we didn't have an updated list. There was a couple of our suppliers missing from it, and the other one was continual improvement. That was due to one of our CAR, which is a corrective action request. The verification process and the form wasn't completed. So that's what we got nabbed on for those 2. We corrected those within the 60 days and satisfied the accreditation body. The OFIs, most of them were actually dealt with during the audit process, but there's a few that we have to address in 2022, whether we want to update the DWQMS with those going forward. Yeah, the full audit report is attached with the clearance letter, and if there's any questions, I'd take them now.
Thank you, Kyle. Yeah, that's a pretty detailed report to read through all that and understand it too. So,
yeah.
Okay, council, any questions on this report for R3 for Kyle? Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
Thank you, and through you, Mayor. Thank you, Kyle, for the report. Yes, it was a detailed read, and I'm sure I don't know all the ins and outs of it, but I did have a quick question just on the OFIs. You had mentioned the 4 that were identified that you'll look at those in 2022. So those don't necessarily have to be implemented. You're looking at the whole plan to see if you would go forward with those. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
The OFIs
oh, go ahead.
The OFIs are kind of in the opinion of the auditor. So they seems like all of them kind of pick different things.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're good. It's good. We review them when we do our management review, and we kind of use them as like a best management practice review. And if we feel that it's something that is going to benefit us, then we'll incorporate them or incorporate them in some other way. But these ones were fairly easy to satisfy and fairly clear, so most of them have been addressed already at this point.
Okay, and then do they come back and check that at the next 3-year cycle, or not necessarily? It would depend on the inspector because they aren't mandatory in nature.
Yeah, I mean,
I was just wondering.
Yeah, it's something that may be picked up on the next audit next year. Like they may say, oh, you know, we saw that you didn't use this OFI, or we saw that you did use this OFI. So it's not a non-conformance, so it's something that they can't force. It's just more of something they think that we could use to benefit us.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was just curious about the process with that. So thank you.
Yeah, but I have seen where they, with like one of the annual audits where they'll say, oh, refer to OFI from external audit 2019, still not implemented, or they'll make a comment sometimes, but yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Kyle, I just had one question about the continuing education units, and I see some a couple need to be updated for their class 1 water treatment and distribution. Have those educational components been done, or are they delayed due to COVID?
We have actually had some courses canceled.
Okay.
Everybody's up to date with their CEUs though.
Okay.
So yeah, we've been able to do some online
Perfect.
to get around that. Some of the guys prefer in class, but hasn't really been an option this year.
No. Okay, thank you for that.
Yeah.
Any other questions from council? Councillor Walsh, please.
Not really a question, through you, Mayor. Again, Kyle, just basically a comment. Well done. I know these audits are never a fun thing to have done, but to come out of it with honestly 2 really minor non-conformances is pretty awesome for you and your staff. So just want to echo congratulations on the job well done.
Thanks, Barry.
Yep, that's from all of council. You can count on it.
Yeah.
All right, no other questions or comments. Then what we'd like to do then is have a motion then that we receive this DWQMS audit report for information. Motion by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Councillor Archer. Any other discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So then R4 then, Kyle, this is regarding some bad news for our water plant. Basically, the impacts of our lightning strike on the wastewater treatment plant.
Yes. Again, this is just a report for information for council to update kind of the financial implications of the lightning strike that we experienced also in September. So I won't rehash the whole report from September, as I'm sure you guys have seen it, but the lightning strike basically caused $29,588.32 of unplanned costs to the wastewater and water systems. So of that, luckily we were able to defer the new SCADA computer to 2022, and that is also split between the 2 budgets, so about $4,000 a piece for the water and wastewater budgets. So that wasn't a huge impact. We had planned to get a program PLC for the wastewater plant in 2022 anyways, but we bumped that forward after that incident. We figured we better have it. So that was 4,000 there as well. That would have been planned for 2022 anyways. We feel like we're in pretty good shape now. We have under this year's budget, we plan to get a bunch more PLC cards for redundancy so that we can just swap ones out if they go. Those have been ordered. And we have a new SCADA computer with a mirroring hard drive in it, so that if the hard drive's ever compromised, all that is being backed up right within the unit, which is nice. We have programmed radios, so we basically have a spare of everything that could potentially blow up here, as far as PLCs and radio equipment go and stuff. So we're looking pretty good that way. But yeah, there was a financial impact of about $29,000 that we were not planning on last year for the wastewater plant.
That's what we save for rainy days for, I guess.
There you go, eh?
Yeah. Thanks for that report. Any questions from council on that one at this time? Any comments? Councillor Walsh, please.
Right. Just one more through you, Mayor. Kyle, is there anything we can be doing or that you can be doing from a protection standpoint, that if a lightning strike happens again, that we don't get hit like this, or is it really not much we can do?
Yeah, sorry, I should have made comment to that in the report. It is in the report, but so what we've reached out to Eastlink to see if we can bring high-speed internet into our 3 pumping station sites, our remote sites. everything at the wastewater plant is surge suppressed. We have surge suppression, very large banks of it over in the filter building. Everything here is on surge suppressant UPSs. So essentially, we're kind of protected from the grid. If the theory here was that it hit the actual radio tower and traveled down through. So some better dedicated grounding would potentially solve that. Not always, not 100% of the time. So we were looking at bringing internet into our 3 pumping station sites to communicate back to our wastewater plant. And that's the way we would communicate with them and completely remove the antennas. If you're around town and you happen to come by one of the pumping stations, just have a look and you'll see the big antennas sticking up in the sky. So trying to remove those lightning rods, if you will, would be one step forward. It's not a huge cost. The radio parts are starting to get harder to get anyways, so it might be the route to go. The only problem is then when the internet goes down, you're blind, and we have had Eastlink fail here in the past. So
Okay, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah, just a comment. I see they're digging Wi-Fi, or not Wi-Fi, but probably what's that, 5G, I guess, coming down Highway 7. They're putting the cabinets in every 150 feet, all against the fence line on the south side of Highway 7 from Peterborough down through Norwood here. So there's, looks like they're working on it now as we speak. So
yeah,
good news for our area.
Definitely.
Yeah. Any other comments? Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Kyle, this could be Kyle and or Candace. I just had a question. It's been stated in a couple of the water reports about additional personnel down the road, and I'm sure we'll be getting a report at some point in time. Now, Adam had worked as a part-time position and then switched to full-time. Would you envision something like that where somebody comes in part-time, for a short period of time and then see how that goes, or would it be a contract? I was just curious. I'm sure we'll be getting a report, but I wondered what direction that was going. So that would be for either Kyle or Candace.
Do you want me to answer that?
Sure.
Okay. I would say no to part-time, no to contract. And the only reason being is finding an operator that's licensed, and being able to, the current scenario worked because we shared them with departments and allowed that department to grow because it was an internal filling of the position. That won't be the case the next time. It'll be external recruitment. And if we go out as a part-time external recruitment or a contract external recruitment, we are lessening our chances of getting an experienced licensed operator from another center. That is preliminary, high level answer to your question, because obviously wasn't planned to answer that today, but I suspect we would go in just as a full-time operator, and definitely that is in the short-term plans. Kyle, do you have anything to add?
No, that's what I basically would have said as well.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That was going to be a surprise for Kyle. Hey, you're going to get some help down there. No, but it only makes sense though for the township. As we grow, and we know we're definitely going to be growing here in the next couple of years, that more help is going to be needed because there's just going to be more to do. That's absolutely true. So, careful what you wish for, I guess, but and take what you can get. So. All right, no other questions on this report then, council, or comments? All right, seeing none, then this report for the impacts of lightning strike were for information only at this time, so I'm looking for a motion for that, please. Deputy Mayor Burt, and seconded by Councillor War. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried, thank you. All right, thanks, Kyle. Looks like you're off the hook now, sir.
Have a nice afternoon.
Thank you, and happy New Year to you.
Yeah.
All right, R5 then would be Candace White, our CAO Clerk Treasurer, and this report is regarding our 2022 fees and charges bylaw. Candace, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So this is a housekeeping bylaw that we take a look at once per year. We take a look at it annually to ensure that the services that the township is providing is in a cost recovery basis, or as close to that as we can possibly get. Not many changes this year. Staff were cognizant of the level of service that we are providing throughout the pandemic, meaning it is at we are still providing the same service, but the residents may not be utilizing those services as often. With facilities being closed, et cetera, it's hard to know whether you would be in a cost recovery position when you've had no rentals. So obviously it's an automatic deficit regardless of what the revenue line states. With that being said, there's a couple of little things that we've noticed operationally that we thought the bylaw could address. And that is a new charge you'll see for scanning. Before you would see there a photocopying fee under that part of the fees and charges bylaw. Paper is essentially going by the wayside for the most of the time. So we're seeing the requests coming forward for scanning. So people bringing in documents, asking us to scan it, whether that's to a USB stick or whether that's to an email address or et cetera. So just we've had those requests and there's been nothing in our fees and charges bylaw to address it or handle that situation. And that is the new way of the world. So that is a new fee charge there. You see a slight increase to the ice rentals, pretty insignificant. Prime ice, $2 per hour. Public skating sponsorship, $1 per hour. Norwood minor hockey, $1 per hour. Norwood figure skating, $1 per hour. And minor sports outside organizations going from 124 per hour to 130 per hour per session. So what was happening is the minor sports outside organizations was paying the exact same hourly rate as our local minor hockey organizations. And so we did some research around our local municipalities and see what they were charging for an hourly rental rate. And we were substantially lower for even our regular rate for our local users. Due to the pandemic and due to the hardships that it's created our local users, we didn't want to see an increase to the local users, but we would like to receive support to increase the rate for the outside organizations. Majority of the outside organizations that rent our ice is from the city of Peterborough, and we are substantially lower than the rate from the city of Peterborough and most of our neighbors even still. So we don't foresee that the increase is going to cause us to all of a sudden lose rentals or lose users, as ultimately the ice is needed. Ice time is needed. It's coveted actually. And it'll just help us to become more in line with our neighbors, as well as an increase to the marriage license line. We have seen an uptake in the number of marriage licenses that we are issuing. We did issue them basically throughout the pandemic in altered states here or there, depending on the environment in which we were in at the time. But just to be more in line as to the fees that are being charged. And I think we were seeing an increase in consuming a fair bit of our deputy clerk's time just because our fee was so much lower than our neighbors. So now we're more in line and we can share the love around a little bit. So that's why you're seeing the increase there. So outside of that, I will leave it. Those are the only changes that are being proposed at this time. So I will leave it with council for any questions.
Good job. Thank you. Councillor Ward, please. I've seen your hand.
Yes, thank you, Mayor, through you. Candace, I was just wondering with these increases in the figure skating and the other outside organizations at the community center, would that also affect the Millennium Room, and or is that separate from that? You're going to keep that status quo?
Yeah, so all of the event space rentals will remain the same.
Okay, thank you for that.
You're welcome. They're basically been shut down, so.
Any other questions or comments from council? All right, seeing none then, I'm looking for a motion then that we receive this report for information and that we approve the 2022 fees and charges bylaw as it was presented. Motioned by Councillor Archer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Burt. Any other discussion on the motion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. All right, Candace, then you're still up, our CAO clerk treasurer, and this report is regarding our strategic planning update. Please, Candace.
Thank you, Mayor. So this has been a process and a long time coming, but finally you see the draft strategic plan in front of you. Throughout the process, we took a look as an organization at our mission statement, our vision statement, our current values and definitions of those values. As we know, the strategic plan is a guiding document. It is the compass in which we use to drive decisions and budget setting, et cetera. We did release a survey to council members and staff to gain perspective on their current and future priorities. We released a survey to the public to gain perspective into their priorities and concerns. For the most part, I would say that council and staff have a pretty good thumb on the pulse of the public and what it is. And our priorities seem to be in alignment. We didn't seem to be going in different directions where staff was trying to find some commonalities and common ground to find a direction that would ensure that the organization and the public are in alignment. It seemed to be naturally occurring. It seemed to just happen. It was organic. So that was really, really nice to see. You see the results of the council and staff survey and the results of the community survey. I did include them in the staff report for you today, but you have seen those results in the past. It's just basically to support the decisions that were made in the draft and what the draft priorities are and the reason for them. So I'd like to flip to the draft strategic plan document instead of the staff report, because we have discussed all of those contents previously. We did include a message from the mayor and myself, very similar to the last time. It is a different format. It does follow our new branding. It is aesthetically pleasing from township staff perspective. It's colorful, it's bright. I think it draws people's attention, but it isn't overly wordy where it would take you an hour to read. I think you could very quickly identify what the priorities of Asphodel-Norwood are very, very quickly, which is what our intent was. So thank you to Melanie and all of her formatting expertise in this document. It's lovely to have that in-house. As we know, this entire process was consultant-free and was conducted all with township staff efforts. So strategy number one, we're seeing healthcare, obviously doctor recruitment and expansion to facility upgrades, whether that's the medical center upgrades or a new facility as a whole. Community programming, youth collaborating with our library branches, senior initiatives, priority of recreation and parks and trails, the construction of the outdoor skating area, of course, was identified by the public and very strongly. So we'll be taking a look at the planning of that. Emergency and management response, so location study and design, a new fire hall came through loud and clear from council staff and the public. That was one I wasn't sure that we would necessarily see be identified by the public, but it was. So that was very interesting to see. So again, location study and design is where you would start first in the next few years. Strategy and number two is strategy, sustainability, achieving operational excellence. So of course, we've heard loud and clear. We all know that this is not new to us. We're well aware of what our responsibilities are in regards to responsible growth, and we need to continue to monitor and react to impacts of growth on infrastructure and community servicing. The aquifer capacity report is expected to be delivered to council in the month of March, if not early April. We do have the preliminary results. And I'm not too shy to say that there is no shortage of water in the village of Norwood. So the 1,965 cubic meters a day in a new water storage tower is not going to be a concern. We could probably build 3 or 4 of them and supply them quite easily and quite nicely. So the engineering reports and the monitoring wells and the study that was conducted to support that will be presented to council and for the public in the first quarter of 2022. Of course, you'll see the official plan from Peterborough County, hopefully in 2022 to be fully adopted. A very preliminary, potentially premature draft was submitted by Peterborough County to the local municipalities for comment. We have 6 weeks to comment. Wasn't expecting that. There's some pretty substantive decisions that we're waiting on from the province, and some direction that I know our municipality isn't necessarily pleased with prior to adopting that plan. That said, Peterborough County staff has stated that they've been pulled apart, and they have identified that those outstanding pieces in regards to lands needs analysis and growth allocation are still outstanding, as well as the density target reduction request from the province. We have no decision in regards to that. So township staff have 6 weeks to review it. We have reached out to MHBC, Jamie Robinson, who's a consultant who's been assisting township staff with the planning analysis and memos that have been representing Asphodel-Norwood at the discussion table. We would like them to come and present the draft official plan and what it means to Asphodel-Norwood to our council. We have a meeting with them at the beginning of next week. So we will be providing that information to council in the month of February. And the mayor and the deputy mayor obviously have been involved through that process all the way along. We provide the minutes of Peterborough County Council in the regular agendas of our meeting, but there's a lot to that document. And so there's a lot that council needs to know, but there's also, it's embedded in a lot of things you don't need to know. So we want to pull out all of that information that is pertinent to the decision-making that comes across your desks. So that said, stay tuned. We're going to be in touch. After the official plan is adopted, then we need to adopt a zoning bylaw. So there is a stipulated time frame that we need to update the zoning bylaw to reflect the changes of the official plan. And of course, we're going to support mixed housing developments to support diverse demographics. Proactive financial management. I don't believe there's anything there that council hasn't seen before. I think we're all well aware of what our responsibilities are there, as well as accountable governance, which all council at this table is excellent at. Then number 3, growing our economy, prosperity, strategy number 3. So of course, broadband, advocate and invest in expansion of broadband with business attraction, review of our community improvement plan on an annual basis to ensure it's effective and that the program is effective and it is answering the call of the current complement of businesses within the township. Support annual economic development work plan for shop local initiatives for 2022. It's the Choose Local campaign, which you're going to start to see, and you have seen a little bit of. Valentine's Day is coming to social media accounts. Ensure no municipal roadblocks are in place for retail expansion, servicing of commercial and industrial lands, and build partnerships and increase communication with businesses. So I think everything there council is well aware of and has seen before, but by all means, if you have any questions or concerns, please stop me and let me know. And we wouldn't be adopting an Asphodel-Norwood strategic plan if we didn't highlight agriculture. So ongoing support of the agricultural community through increased communication, liaise with provincial bodies and complete a SWOT analysis of the agriculture community, support on-farm diversified uses, which is going to swing back to the official plan. That is where we would support that. And support and promote local agricultural initiatives and businesses. So as we see the on-farm diversified uses, we would then swing and support them as much as we do and ensure that they're included in the Choose Local campaign. Strategy number 4, engage our communities and citizens. So volunteerism, regular review the composition and mandate of each committee, which we have been doing on a regular basis, but this will ensure that that continues to take place. Attract and retain volunteers and support each committee with time and financial resources. As we've discussed, it's very difficult for a volunteer group to accomplish their mandate without frustration if they don't have those 2 things in place. Citizen engagement, continue to promote township initiatives online. The release of a quarterly newsletter, we did hear that, as well as release of a year in review during the first quarter of each year, detailing the previous year accomplishments. So Melanie and I have had conversations about that, and it is in the works. So stay tuned to receive that. And again, so there's the messages from the mayor and the message from myself, and I will leave it to council for any comments, concerns, questions, changes, etc.
Great job, great report. Leave it open for council at this time. Council, any questions or comments, please? Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
I'll start. I'm sure there's going to be more as we get along. Yeah, great. A great document moving forward that certainly won't sit on the shelf as we move ahead. I was glad to see that year in review. I highlighted that. So that was good to see, along with and I know we talked about this at EdBack the last time, having the financial resources for the committee to move forward, because I think that's important. The groups, and certainly I know Councillor War would know that through the Historical Society, they spend all their time fundraising in order to do their projects. And by that time, the committee is worn out. And so I think that's a huge thing for getting more volunteers on these committees. Fundraising isn't a fun job, and it's something that many people, we've done it since our kids were in kindergarten. And so I think that's a really important part under the volunteerism. And I just wanted one more comment on the healthcare. I think next to maybe concerns, I won't say complaints, concerns from citizens with roads or snow, or the last couple of years with things happening at the community center, I would say the next number one phone call or email is about healthcare in the community and the concern about needing new doctors. And I actually got another call yesterday about it, and I assured him that it is at the top of our strategic plan, which is being presented today, and we're all aware of it. And it's tough because every community in the province is the same, and we're competing for those professionals, whether they be doctors or nurse practitioners or whatever. And I think it's going to be a challenge, but it's something that this community needs, and I'm glad to see it right at the top of the list. I just had two more things, and they're just, they might just need a little bit of tweaking on the computer. Under the community programming, it said ongoing engagement with public through community event. I think that just needs an S on the end. Community events. And then can you guys, I know we didn't change the values or the mission and that, but on the page under our values, it has integrity, and maybe it's just me and I'm not reading it right. It said earning and sustaining public trust by service public interest. Should that be servicing public interest, or
Serving.
Am I reading it wrong?
Should be serving public interest.
Serving. Okay. Thank you. I knew that wasn't right. And so yeah, just a couple of typos there, nothing major, but excellent document. And thank you for bringing all those pieces together and making it look great. Both Candace and Melanie, for all your computer skills. That's pretty impressive.
Very nice.
Thank you. I can touch base on the doctor recruitment. There has been a shift in the city of Peterborough and Peterborough County with doctor recruitment. So there is a CAO meeting booked for Friday, February 11th to discuss how that's going to be moving forward. Peterborough Family Health Team has stated that they don't feel doctor recruitment is best underneath their umbrella, which Peterborough County and the city have funded that position for years. So they've decided that is potentially a conflict of interest if they are recruiting for their own health team. We won't get into whether we agree or disagree with that. The bottom line is it's a very, very important role, especially right now. So it needs to be taken into consideration. And I can assure council that the biggest voice I will have at the table is to ensure that Peterborough County is not fighting with the city for doctors. And that is probably my biggest concern with the proposed approach to doctor recruitment and how they're going to be taking a look at it from a joint venture. And I do have concern. So Friday, February 11th, are going to get together and we're going to have that discussion to ensure the CAO of Peterborough County is aware of all of our concerns, and maybe even request a meeting with the city, because they just have deeper resources. They have more things going on. We don't want to be competing with them, and they tend to they have the financial resources behind them. They have the facilities behind them, that sort of thing. So we just got to make sure that Peterborough County isn't missed in that conversation and ensure that our needs are being met. Equally as important as the city of Peterborough doctor recruitment needs, and it needs to be a joint effort. I think if we go into this jointly with equal partnership, then I'm sure we will see some fruits of our labor. I know to the south of us, doctor recruitment has been quite successful. There's some good models there to use that hasn't been utilized in the past. Asphodel-Norwood does have a video that has been prepared highlighting all of the things that we give back to the community, what lifestyle we provide for a doctor to come here. But as we know, in order to get a team of doctors here, which is what it's going to take to address the current caseload and the future caseload that's coming down, the facility needs to be looked at. And maybe there's going to be opportunities at this discussion to talk to our neighbors who are also obviously not going to have a facility or going to be lacking in a facility, and maybe there's some partnership opportunities there. So I will keep council abreast of any future conversations, of course.
Thank you, Candace. Is there any other questions or comments from council? Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. I just wanted to say I really like the format of the document. I think that it's really easy to read, and I thank Deputy Mayor Burt for pointing out the volunteerism, because that was one of the things I was going to also highlight. And the really big need for the broadband, improved broadband for rural people. It's a struggle some days. And so I think this strat plan is laying out a lot of really important things in the coming years, doctor recruitment, all of that. So again, I want to thank Candace and Melanie and whoever else worked on this. It looks really good. Thank you.
Very good. Councillor Walsh, I see in your hand.
Yeah, if I can, through you, Mayor, again, just kind of echoing comments that you've already heard from my fellow councillors. But again, it's nice that we had feedback from the public, feedback from ourselves, from staff. I love the fact that we've done this consultant-free in-house and produced a very awesome looking strategic plan. I love the look of it. So to you, Melanie and Candace and team, well done. I think the only little thing that I was just going to point out was under prosperity, agriculture, SWOT analysis. We probably around the table know what SWOT analysis means, but maybe the general public may not. So I'm not sure that we want to kind of spell out what SWOT analysis means to people. Just a thought. I've very familiar with that term, but not everybody potentially might be. So, but no, well done.
We'll make that change. Yeah, makes sense.
Great comments and good reading, council. Absolutely. My only comment is, first of all, I want to say I dropped the zip line thing, so then I was more in line with what council had and staff. So the zip line's kind of off my scale, unless I make millions and want to do my own or something. I guess that might be the way to do it. Anyway, no, I just want to say hats off to staff also. Great job. Lots in the works for the last couple of years for sure. Bringing our township together like that. I've had comments. I just thought I'd let staff know. I've had comments from other townships that from the public, not actually from councillors or mayors or whatever, but from the public out there, because I'm around out there all over the place. And there's a lot of people from all over the place that actually watch what we do in our township. And they're amazed at how many times we put something out to the public to get a poll, to get the public involved, and the response that they must put their name in on it themselves or fill the poll out themselves from out of our township. Absolutely. But they're just thrilled with what we do and the public engagement that we ask for. And then they say, no wonder you at Asphodel-Norwood are on the map and doing so well. So I just want to put that off to staff that we're being watched, and it is a good thing. So thank you for that. Any other comments or concerns or questions from council on this report? None? Any other comments from staff if you'd like? All right, I'm going to read this
Actually,
one. Oh, go ahead.
Yes, there is. So just so council is aware that the next step, this draft document will now be released to the public. That is part of the motion, but we didn't chat about that. So this draft document will go out, give the public opportunities to comment. Mel and I will chat about what that's going to look like in the process. And so you'll see it going out on social media and in the website and the newspaper, through our traditional channels. And then we'll bring it back for final adoption, likely February 22nd.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to say, this is a well-written motion in front of me here. That I'll read it for the most part, so I don't miss anything and council understands it. So anyways, we're to receive this report for information, and further that the council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood approves the draft strategic plan as presented and directs staff to release the plan to the public for comment. And further that the council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood directs staff to present the final plan to council inclusive of public input at the February 22nd, 2022 meeting of council. Everyone understands that? I need a motion then, please. Motion by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Councillor Archer. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. That's a great report. Thank you, staff. R7 then Candace White, our CAO Clerk Treasurer, and this report is regarding our management action list. Candace, please.
Thank you, Mayor. So the action list is in front of council, and I guess the thing that I want to bring your attention to the most is you'll notice that February has been split into two, and we were planning on only having one meeting in February. I don't really think that we're going to be able to get off with that. I think we need to have a second meeting in February, unless council is okay with having a rather large meeting on February 22nd. As you can see, the first meeting in February, there's a lot of, annual building department report, annual council remuneration report, annual DC report, the fourth quarter water wastewater, fourth quarter building, some changes to the fire bylaw based on the fire prevention officer, some wording changing in there. The biggest reason I flung some of those kind of housekeeping, more reports that don't take a lot of time during a council meeting to this meeting, but the main purpose of it is to try to have a Peterborough County official plan meeting, a meeting that is just more designated to the official plan conversation, but we're taking care of some other items so that the 22nd isn't as heavy as well. So that's kind of the approach. Because we have quite a few like tender results, RFP results. We've got some delegations like the EA water tower results. JL Richards will be coming and giving the final report on that. Gallagher will be coming and doing the councilor remuneration study. So that's two delegations in that meeting. So I thought adding the official plan to it and having a third one may make it long and not able to give the official plan conversation what it's due. And early March is when the comments have to be back in. That said, I would like MHBC to attend the official plan meeting, and I don't quite know their availability. So I wanted to touch base with council and just kind of see if you would be okay, even like the Tuesday directly before the 22nd, instead of like the second and fourth Tuesday, which we traditionally have. I think MHBC is going to need a bit more time. So I'm thinking potentially having another meeting in February. But before we get into the dates, I'll listen to what council has to say, and maybe they don't want another meeting. So.
Oh, sorry, I couldn't hear you, Roger.
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a paper over it, I guess. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. No, given the amount of information that's on the county official plan, it does need its own meeting, or almost its own meeting. So yeah, I think we do have to have that extra meeting wherever it may be, and I'm fine with either of those 2 Tuesdays. So I'll throw that out to the rest of council.
Anyone else have a comment? Councillor Ward, please.
Yes, thanks through you, Mayor. I'm in agreement with Deputy Mayor Burt on a second meeting. I think it gives time to give more time to read and understand the document and make the questions that we need to ask clear.
Councillor Walsh, you had your hand up.
Also aligned to having 2 meetings. I think just to split it up. I think the only thing selfishly for me, February 15th, I'm actually in an all-day Zoom meeting. So if you think council meetings are long, I've got one that goes all day. So I'm on from, yeah, I'm on from 10 till 6 in a work meeting. So the 15th, I'm not available, but you're more than welcome to proceed. I just wouldn't be there.
Well, I think it's important that you're there for it. It involves the township, and it's, so the thing, just to fill council in, is at county, they wanted this official plan basically sent off to the province because of a deadline. And then they had something like a 90-day period that they wanted the public to have a look at it so they could have consultation with the public and one thing after another. Even though they went a little bit sideways on that by sending it out premature, they did that because of timelines. So we were told several times. And it was a very tight vote as to that. It went on to the province before it actually come back to the townships. But on their behalf, though, like Candace said, that there's a lot of high level stuff that just really is like, for one council to be in one term is too much to have to take all that in to understand it, where it's more on a staff oriented basis that the understanding needs to be at, because they're the ones that live and breathe it every day, where we're not in it all the time, say, for instance, unless we're career politicians, and then we're really active in that type of thing as a full-time job. But I don't know, Candace, you might be able to help me out on that one, but I think it is important also, but I do think all of council should try to be there to participate in it. So if the 15th is out, then somehow we'd have to come up with another date, because I think it is important. So Candace, you have a comment?
I'm glad the council agrees at a second meeting. I'm just looking at dates. So what about the 17th of February? It's a Thursday.
I'm good. Councillor Ward, you're muted.
Sorry, through you, Mayor. What would you be thinking the regular time on the Thursday, Candace? Because I believe I do have an ORCA meeting on the 17th in the evening starting at 5, but I'm good for the regular time.
I mean, we can make the time anytime that works for council. It's a special meeting, so we can call it at any time. So if we want to go a little bit earlier in the day, if everyone's okay with that, then I'm more than okay with that if we want to have a morning meeting.
Oh, it's open for discussion. Just go ahead, anybody.
I can't make a morning meeting that day, but I should be done by 12:30 on the 17th.
Anyone else?
Mayor.
Yeah, it's open.
Sorry, just work commitments again. The 17th in the afternoon, I am solidly booked. So wouldn't be available.
Candace, I'm just wondering, did you want to see when MHBC could come and have some available dates, and then send out a doodle poll to see where we can land? Would that be easier once you get a confirmation of when they can come?
I would rather go the other way. I would rather tell them our availability.
Oh, okay.
And have, because it's one person we're dealing with. And then we know our availability and we went back to them. We don't have doodle poll, but I can send out something to all of council. I just know the early beginnings of February, like, it's not going to give them enough time to be able to be ready, since county just sent the link to us. So we can't go early February. That's why I was kind of hoping for that kind of week before the 22nd. Like I think the 8th even is pushing it. And then unfortunately election meetings for me are that week. So I really only have the Tuesday. I have Wednesday in the morning, anytime Thursday, and it doesn't really seem like my availability is going to align with council. So
What about the 14th, the Monday, Kenneth?
I'm in Zoom 9 to 3.
What about the 16th in the morning? You said you're available then.
We have a county meeting.
Oh,
County council, and
Okay.
I'm in election meetings all afternoon.
The 9th on Wednesday.
We have waste management from not all morning.
Barry, what time's your meeting on the 17th?
I have one from 12 to 1:30 and another one from 3 to 3:30.
Okay.
What about the 10th?
Well, so if you go the 17th, Lori, when could you be back to meet on the 17th? Like I could probably
Yeah,
get out.
I'm just thinking this meeting, I might, you know what? Why don't we try for the 17th? If it's like, could we do a
I'm available all
9
day.
a.m.?
So
8
whatever. day
a.m.
works for
Like
you
the
guys.
11?
earlier the better, because my meeting's later in the morning.
Yeah.
I don't know. Earlier the better on the 17th. I don't know.
I'm on
That was-
holidays, so
Messes people up.
Are you
So
staying
I would,
home?
I would say for the consultant, we wouldn't want to go earlier than 8:30. I doubt, I mean, township staff would be fine to start at 8, but I just don't know if we'd get a commitment for them to start at 8, but I can try for 8:30. And then what's your, I mean, we wouldn't want to be more than 3 hours anyway.
No.
So,
No, so if like I would be good for that day at 8:30.
okay, so that's one option. 17th, 8:30 to 11, we'll say. Lori, does that work?
Yeah, I might just need to skip out a few minutes early, but that's okay. I've seen this document a few times, so I think we get most of it in anyway, so I think we're good.
Okay, and then what if
Friday
we
the
even held
18th?
a meeting like in the afternoon of the 21st? What if people like a Monday, the 21st in the afternoon? I know it's 2 council meetings back to back afternoons, but
It's actually family day.
oh, it is family day. Well, there'll be no consultant. I wouldn't mind getting it done.
What about Friday the 18th?
I'm
That's
good
the
in the
second
morning, but I have Zoom from 1 to 4.
I'm good Friday the 18th.
Friday the morning.
Are we good in the morning then, the 18th? 8:30 to 11?
Mhm.
Okay, 17th and 18th, 8:30 to 11. Those will be the dates I proposed to Jamie.
Okay.
Stay tuned.
Those will be
I-
either days then, either or.
It'll be either or, yeah, not
Okay.
both.
Okay.
I will send the link out to all of you guys. You can start reviewing it in advance.
Great.
Any other questions in regards to the action list?
No, not for me. Anyone else, council? All right. Seeing no hands, then you have nothing else further, Candace, on that? All right. Then I need a motion that we accept this report as suggested by us and the CAO. Motioned by Councillor War, seconded by Deputy Mayor Burt. Any other discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Okay, now we're on to correspondence for action. Sarnia City Council regarding catch and release. Not necessarily fish. So go ahead, Council, please. Deputy Mayor Burt.
To receive.
All right, do I have a seconder on that? Counselor Ward, any other discussion on that motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Thanks for coming up with that quickly. C7, Township of South Frontenac regarding daylight savings time. Counselor's thoughts. Counselor Ward, please.
To receive that report, please.
All right, do I have a seconder on that? Counselor Walsh, any other discussion on that? Seeing no hands, all in favor? That's carried. C8, Albert Heffernan Norwood Country Music Jamboree. This is a report regarding a donation request that was filled out properly. Any thoughts from council on that so far? Councillor Ward, please.
Yes, thank you through you, Mayor. This is the second time for a donation request. It's nice to see it filled out properly. I'm of the opinion that I would like to contribute some donation money to this event. I think it does highlight the community, does bring a lot of business into the community during that 3-day event. And I would propose that we think about some of our donation money. I would say $200. I'll start off the conversation.
That's the money in our council reserve for donations. Is that what you're talking about, Councillor?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, just for information, Candace, do you know how much is in that still?
Well, beginning of the year, you've got a full donation line because the budget was just approved and we haven't spent anything yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're
All right, so
welcome.
we have a motion on open for discussion, but before we discuss it, I guess I'd have to find a seconder, I guess, first. Okay, Councillor Archer. So now it's open for discussion. Councillor, what's your thoughts? Councillor Walsh, please, and you're muted.
Yeah, through you, Mayor. I appreciate Albert has filled out this form. I struggle a little bit because obviously they have not read our donation request policy formally, but know the amount of money that they can actually request. I struggle a little bit as to how much it actually generates for our community. It is great to see all these people come to our community, but having been there with the Lions Club and doing a couple of breakfasts, this group comes pretty self-sufficient to the fairgrounds. Pretty much bring everything that they need. Very little, I think, shopping is done in town. It's great to see all these people in town, but I'm just not sure how much it actually generates for us. And again, this is a outside of our township gentleman that is running this for profit. And I'm struggling whether we need to be donating to it.
Okay, that's fair. Any other thoughts and comments to the motion, please, Deputy Mayor Burt?
Yeah, I'll just comment. And I see Barry's point of view as well. And yeah, many of those, they do come well prepared. And I think you could talk to many businesses in Havelock during the Havelock Jamboree, and they would say the same thing too. I do feel that bringing these, and this is an event that is coming to the community, it does tend to put, I would hope, somewhat put Norwood on the map, and that they do recognize, when they hear the community of Asphodel-Norwood, that brings back some good memories for them, perhaps, if they do come to an event. $250 to me seems like a reasonable amount. And yes, it is a business, but I think from a economic development and maybe a recognition standpoint early on in this event, I think $250 may be well spent, but I do see your point, Councillor War. And that's just my thought.
Councillor Walsh made that point.
Or sorry, Councillor Walsh.
Yeah.
I do see your point, Councillor Walsh. Thank you for making the motion, Councillor War.
Just for clarification though, Councillor War, was it 200 or 250 that you said?
I think I said 200, and I see that he was going to use it perhaps in advertising costs, which would have Norwood's name on it too. For me, I thought the economic benefits outweigh. And then I looked at the invoice from the community center as well, and it was almost $4,000 spent at the community center. And if you see that impact over a few years, I think that that donation request would be well used. Thank you.
Or comments? Yep. Anyone else at this time have any comments on it? Okay, that's fine. So we have a motion on the floor, duly seconded. I'm going to call for the vote with a raise of hands. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, thank you. That's what it's all about, folks. All right, C9 then, Association of Municipalities Ontario. This is regarding joint and several liability resolution. And I just heard some news on the radio today about down Belleville Way, I think, or Coburg Way. So, Councillor, what's your thoughts on this, please? Deputy Mayor Burt.
Yeah, we need to support that. This is something we've been talking about, certainly in this term, I believe the previous term as well. So we certainly see the situation when it comes to all of our rising insurance costs. So I would make the motion to support.
Thank you. I need a seconder before we have discussion. Councillor War seconded that. So is there any other discussion or comments on that? Candace, you would like to say something about this? You're muted.
No, I was just moving my hand to touch a key on my laptop, but I just went like that.
Oh,
I apologize, but I'm happy to see council supporting. I think it's definitely well worth any paper and time and opportunity we have to voice this. We have to get this changed.
Yeah, and just help us out with this, just for those that may be listening at home, the joint and several liability, this resolution, Candace, is simply to help us with some frivolous lawsuits that can come across our way, or something simple that people just think that every township and municipality has money that they can spend on lawyers and claims and one thing after another, and this will help us with some silly maneuvering. Is that the fact?
It's to help with proportionate responsibility for incidents. So what that means, if there is a claim or an incident that requires the action or involvement of an insurance company, and a municipality is named in the lawsuit, we have the potential, based on the current legislation, to be the highest payer with the smallest amount of liability and responsibility assigned to us. So if we are deemed 1% responsible, and we are the only insurers that have the ability to pay what needs to be paid to the claim, we pay it, even though someone else may be 80% responsible. So it's to ensure that there's proportionate responsibility and that there's capping to some of these awards, because there's no cap. And what it has created is an unstable, volatile insurance market for all of us. You guys see the increases, and the pool and the underwriters available to insure municipal governments is becoming fewer and fewer and fewer, because the risk to them is so high because of this legislation. They know that if there's a claim and there's a 1% fault, the insurance company could be paying exponentially more, even if the municipality in which they insure is doing their due diligence in what they need to do in order to be only 1% at fault. So it is just to address that concern. So it's highly political, but AMO has done a great job. There is that 2018 paper that I hope council has had the opportunity to read, and they have updated it. And the draft resolution is there if that's what council wishes staff to forward on.
Yeah, thank you, Candace, for not wanting to say anything on that. So,
you asked.
I know I did, and I wanted clarification for anyone that was listening. So, all right. So there is a motion on the floor then to support this. So council, then if we support this, then that letter goes off to the resolution to AMO and whoever else that it needs to go to. Then that's part of that motion then. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just for clarification. All right. So we have the motions duly seconded. Any other discussion on that motion? Seeing no hands or comments, all in favor? Great. Thank you for that. All right, C10 then, no surprise, I guess. I've heard it all over the county, but Peterborough Humane Society regarding the notice of animal services agreement termination. Any comments or thoughts or concerns on that one? Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
I think we all have comments and concerns, so I'll get the ball rolling. Yeah, I think this letter was a little bit of a surprise to everyone in the county. And to state that they would deny the service because of the denial of the donation was rather shocking. I did reach out to Candace just to see kind of what the average was through the year that we paid, and it's under $1,000, with there being about 2 to 3 calls a year to them. So we do use that service quite minimally. And I am looking forward to seeing what our options would be moving forward. So I'm sure there's some other comments around the table, and we can see where to go from here.
Thanks for that. Any other comments, concerns? Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. Just touching on what Deputy Mayor Burt said, I was just wondering what other options may be open to the township, and if we would be looking at those other options, if there are any.
Perfect. Any other comments at this time before we ask for answers? Councillor Walsh, please.
Yeah, just for you, Mayor. And again, it's kind of similar to what was echoed in the Peterborough Examiner report from North Kawartha Township, that, you know, every township spends, you know, a certain amount of money utilizing their service, and a $50,000 request for a township like North Kawartha that is small like ourselves is a lot different than a $50,000 request from a larger municipality. So I think it was a bit of an unrealistic ask of $50,000 from every municipality, based on that we're all in different sizes. And then to come back and basically stop services because we didn't provide a $50,000 check is kind of disappointing. They're saying that they're open to doing some, you know, revising and looking at an agreement now, but I think that would have been step one versus a letter coming back stating that your services are terminated as of right now. So definitely open to seeing what other options that we do have, and we will proceed that way.
Perfect. Councillor Archer, did you have your hand up?
What is, Candace, what is our other options? Like, what can we do?
So obviously this has been a hot button topic throughout the CAOs in the county. We have discussed it amongst ourselves. I have reached out to neighbors to the south. I feel that is our best option. We are fortunately geographically located, you know, just in the southern part of the county. So, you know, maybe utilizing services to the south is probably our best avenue, unless council directs me to negotiate with the Humane Society in Peterborough. That said, I have spoke to the company that provides services to the municipality of Trent Hills, directly to the south of us. They provide animal control officer services only. They don't enter into pound keeping agreements. So it's important for council to realize that we only use Peterborough Humane Society for pound keeper services. So if an animal, and we use a dog as an example, is captured by our animal control officer and we are unable to find the owner of that animal, then that is why we have the agreement with the Humane Society. So then they take that animal, and if it needs veterinary care or they adopt it out, etc., the township pays for all that. So we pay, you know, a service fee for that, and we pay the vet bills in regards to that animal. We don't have a lot of them. Our animal control officer seems to be quite proficient in finding the owners of these animals, and our dog tag licensing program works exceptionally well because we do have that licensing program. We tend to be able to find them through the dog tags. So that said, the phone call I had this morning with the service provider for Trent Hills was not fruitful, but I did get 2 potential leads from them. I have left a voicemail with the Northumberland Humane Society and the Quinte Humane Society in hopes that we are able to create an agreement with one of those services. That is the hope. Considering we have 1, maximum 3 animals per year. I don't see that taking us on is going to provide any due hardship to any society. So I think we have that in our favor, that we don't actually provide a lot to them. Again, boils down to a $50,000 ask for a service that we pay on average $750 a year for. That said, we don't have the service inside our municipality, and we can't just build our own kennel. To have a pound, the provincial regulations required to have it. And that's why all of the pounds that we had seen around were a lot of, the dog catcher days where people, you had the dog catcher that came and got the dog and they kept the dog in their backyard. Because of the provincial regulations, all of those have gone by the wayside. So that's why they've tend to have created that the Humane Society is the only place for these animals to go. So I will keep council abreast of what we are researching and what we are finding out. It is disappointing that we are being held hostage by one of our partner agencies that we've been in business with for a long period of time, regardless of how often we use them. I think it's a very unfortunate approach, and for a society that relies heavily on donations from the public and stakeholders, I suspect that there's going to be some damaging effects to this approach, and it's just highly unfortunate, disappointing to say the least.
Thank you. Councillor Archer, you had a follow-up?
Just a question, like because we're lucky enough to have an animal clinic in our town, are they allowed to keep them for 24 hours or something if we really needed to down the road? Like,
they provide that. So if the animal required vet care, yes. If it did not, no.
No. Okay. Very good.
Yeah, my comment is I feel that we're being held, it's blackmail, basically. That's what it is. You can't say it any plainer than that. I mean, they've talked about this forever. The place that they want to build is grandiose. I think it's a huge waste of space. I wasn't a big advocate of it then, and maybe I'm the reason why the letter came forward to this township. But I can tell you, like, some of the plans that they had for that, I mean, it looks beautiful on paper, but is it practical to have 30-foot high ceilings and one thing after another just to look up at for people coming in? It's not a hospice. I mean, money could be spent other places other than on a clinic that's like that, that's so grandiose. So I think they've made a mistake, and it is going to bite them hard. And hopefully whoever bites them doesn't have rabies, because, well, they can handle it anyway. Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, do you need a motion, Candace, to continue looking elsewhere other than Peterborough Humane Society? Because I'm pretty sure we're all in agreement that we do not want to go with that negotiation. Do you need a motion for that or no?
Well, C10 is, we need a motion to receive, I guess, first, for that, to finish that off, right?
Yes, so it is in correspondence for action. So a motion to receive the information and then provide direction to me would be great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unless you want me to, and then direction if you want us to respond to this or not.
I'll make a motion.
I've already had 24 hours, so I can probably write an okay letter at this point.
I can make a motion to receive this letter and to direct staff to look for other options moving forward. Do you want to respond, Council? Would you like to send a response? I would have difficulty doing it, but if Candace has been able to breathe through this, and perhaps she can do it more diplomatically than I certainly could. So I'll leave that with Council.
I think we need to have an alternative before we respond.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to
Sounds
burn
good.
a bridge, basically.
Okay, sounds good.
Unless they're tuned right into us today and heard our discussion. But anyway, so that's the motion on the floor then at this time. Do I have a seconder? And if we need to repeat it on the motion, we can. Councillor Ward, you will second that motion. Is there any other discussion on that motion then? Any other comments? Seeing none, then all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, moving on then, C11. Gary and Carrie Armstrong, no news to the agenda. For us, we've seen this a couple times before and it makes perfect sense. But Council, what's your thoughts on the permit extension request, please? Who'd like to comment first? Or a motion? Councillor Walsh, please.
Just pass a comment first. It sounds like they have worked closely with our staff to make sure everything is done up at their trailer to make it compliant. I did check with Candace earlier. There's been no complaints from neighbors regarding the trailer being up there. Unfortunately, that's the cold reality of COVID and delays with building of houses. And I think the light is hopefully at the end of the tunnel for these people. So for the sake of a couple more months or 2 to 3 more months to allow them to finish their house and stay in their trailer with their family of pets, that I'm comfortable with approving.
Okay, so then you will support the recommendation then.
Yes.
Okay, do I have a seconder, Councillor Archer? Is there any other discussion on the motion then? I see Candace's hand.
Can I suggest that we give them to April 30th?
You want to add that to your motion, Councillor Walsh?
Absolutely, that's fine.
I
Fine.
don't have a problem. That's good.
Seconder's fine with that? Okay.
Yep.
More discussion on the motion then? Councillor, Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
That's okay. Yeah, or even May 15th, whatever you think. I was just thinking April 15th that they run into some bad weather. It just saves them coming back again. So whatever council thinks of the extension, if staff thinks they can have it by the end of April, that's fine, or we can do a longer one than that at this point. They're getting close.
Yeah, I don't really think they're in a situation where they, regardless of what date we give them, they're gonna delay it just because they have the extra time. So I think they're pretty anxious to get into their new home. So it would just save the stress of coming back. And I think it's unnerving to not know if council support or not support. And I think regardless, I think we all know that you guys would probably support, but again, it creates a level of uneasiness for them. So if whatever council is willing to do beyond the 15th of April, I think we should do.
Perfect. My comment is that this is not just your ordinary trailer. Like we've had instances like this before where water froze up in the walls because the heat's not enough and the propane runs out the fastest because it is only 3.5 inches thick or 2.5 inches thick plus. So this is a little different circumstances than what we've seen in the past. And I think they've done the right thing by pulling this specific home in there actually that they're living in. So, but I thought having that letter from the builder was very well brought forward for us to get their opinion on how they're coming along with the bill also. I thought that helped a lot too. So anyways, we have a motion on the floor, and just to reiterate, that date would be on that motion, April
30th. I'm
April.
comfortable with. I'm sure the builder, when he provided his supporting documentation, has built in a little buffer. So I think if we give a couple more weeks buffer, we should be safe.
Okay, and that seconder was fine with April 30th then?
Yep.
Yeah. Any other discussion on the motion then? Staff's clear on that then, I guess? Yep. All right, all in favor? And then that's carried. Thank you very much. C12 then, Town of Caledon and Town of Mono. Letter to Attorney General addressing the POA court backlog. We've ran into this at county already too, I believe. So Deputy Mayor Burt, you had your hand up?
Yeah, I would support this. We have heard this a couple times at county council. There's just been such a huge reduction in revenues and certainly very little exchange in expenses, and it's just an ongoing concern province-wide. So from that aspect, we have seen this a few times at county within the last 12 to 18 months, and so I would make a motion to support.
Right. Do I have a seconder on that before discussion? Councillor Ward. Is there any other discussion on this motion then? All right, my comment was that, yeah, we see the documents come across from the court system because county and the city get a certain amount of funds through the fining and one thing after another that comes through that system because it happens in our townships and one thing after another that way. So, and the monies are way down as far as that's concerned right now. But there was a backlog too, Lori. You can reiterate that for me from way back of unpaid fines and one thing after another too. From years gone back, and that they used a collector basically to go after those fines, and they've done quite well in collecting a lot of those, however they did it for themselves, but that ended up in the coffers of the county and the city also. So, but my biggest problem with the court system for me is that the rest of the world seems to have carried on and gotten through this COVID thing with Omicron and still carried on business. And I don't know why they're not able to do it also. So that's just my pet peeve, I guess. Okay, we have a motion on the floor, duly seconded. Any other comments on this motion? No comments, all in favor then, please. And that's carried. Thank you. Councillor liaison reports. Does anyone have anything they'd like to bring forward as of today? Councillor Ward, please.
Thank you, through you, Mayor, and I promise it's the last time, but my meetings are on Thursday night, so I have no time to write the report to get it in for the agenda. So we had our annual general meeting on Thursday, January 21st. I've sent out the link to all of the councillors and to the mayor and deputy mayor, so you have this, and to Melanie. I just wanted to say that ORCA has elected a new chair and vice chair. Ryan Huntley of the Township of Cavan Monaghan is now in the role of chair, and the vice chair is now Michael Metcalf from Trent Hills. So I just wanted to give that update. We had a local speaker. She's in a gap year, but she took a program at Trent and she attended the G26 COP26 summit for environmental summit in Scotland this past year. She was really well respected in that. So I just wanted to give that update, and Melanie has all the details. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that, Councillor Ward. Anyone else have anything at this time? Deputy Mayor Burt, please.
Yeah, I didn't include a written report for county. We just had an extremely long meeting last time in county, and then another meeting on the Thursday. So we had our first budget meeting on Thursday, kind of a first overall glance at it for the whole of council. It's sitting at 3.05%. All of there was, I'd say the meeting was a good couple hours for just that. Council is invited to send in questions, comments to staff. Those will come back to us on February the 2nd. And I believe that will be a morning meeting and then a public meeting that evening on the 2nd. And then with some more deliberation on the 16th and hopefully approval at that time. So there are a number of items in that budget that may enable us to bring that budget down. There's a few different pieces, one of them the OCIF, and just wanted to let you know about that. And it is online if anybody wanted to take a look at it. We are looking at DC charge or DC bylaw updates, and we had our first look at that, and that will be coming forward in more pieces in the next couple of months. And then of course the OP is the big one, waiting on the growth analysis and the reduction in the intensification rate from the province, along with some other things. So it's a very draft form. And once Candace sends that link out, you've got a lot of bedtime reading there. So anyway, that's all for my report right now.
Great, thank you. Any questions of the councillors on their reports? Any comments, council? No, none. Okay, thank you. CAO clerk's treasurer's list, then Candace, please.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. The education tax rate for the provinces come in with no change. That was something I said I would report back. So no change on the education rate, which is great. I sent an email while council was chatting about the correspondence for action, and Jamie Robinson from MHBC can meet with us on the 17th at 8:30. So that would be when the special meeting is. So we would need a motion for that special meeting in general business, if council would be so kind, just to formalize that. Community safety and wellbeing plan, we chatted about that in December. It looks as though Otonabee South Monaghan, Cavan Monaghan, and us are going to be pulling out from that plan and doing a joint plan together. So each municipal, we've met and we do have a bit of a work plan coming together in hopes that we'll meet the July 1st deadline. We will be communicating early February back to the city of Peterborough and letting them know that us 3 municipalities will be pulling out of that plan. And then it'll be interesting to see, I know they have a request into the county for $50,000 of more funds and 6-month extension. So 3 municipalities are pulling out. So I'm not sure what the impact will be on that once the city is aware. As of right now, they're not aware. We're waiting on Cavan Monaghan to take one final report back to her council. So you're going to see some work moving forward on that. In-person meetings, the new council desks are being delivered this Friday. We do have the OWL camera in stock, and Mel did participate on Monday morning in a little trial run, but we're going to have the desks on Friday, and we'll be able to set up the Millennium Room as a council meeting, and then we'll be able to see the OWL. There is a chance we need to buy another OWL, but we should be able to get one within a week. Anyway, we need it to work. Bottom line is that we need it to work. So, but with the restrictions being lifted January 31st, and then we've got these upcoming meetings in February, I needed to touch back in with you guys to see where you're at for in-person meetings and what my deadlines are to work towards having all of the technology nuances that need to be available to us, because the concern is we've got to handle a couple things, right? One, that we need the ability to have in-person and virtual hybrid approach, because what if a manager or a counselor doesn't pass screening and they can't attend a meeting? We need them to be able to, Zoom in and attend the meetings. So we have people in person, people on Zoom. And then we need to keep them live, not necessarily live streamed, they may be recorded and uploaded after, but we still need to have that electronic recorded version. So I'm waiting for any sort of council direction, and Mayor, we can have that discussion in general business if you would prefer. Yeah. And the February 1st COVID clinic at the Millennium Room is going to just be 9 to 1. We just received notification that from 1 to 4, the nursing team is going to be visiting the Norwood schools. So all of the previous appointments that were canceled due to the inclement weather date will be supported. And this is a walk-in for boosters. This is the first time we've seen this type of clinic in Norwood. So it's a walk-in for boosters 18 plus. And for first or second dose for 12 plus. And I think that's it from me.
Okay, any questions, comments to the CAO? All right, thank you. On to general business then. So there's a few things under general business. First of all, does anyone have anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to bring up in general business? All right, I did. I wanted to talk about the doctor recruitment for a second. So the family health team or whatever that was, that they wanted the 57,000, I think, from county. And then the city was putting in 85 or something like that, I think, to go towards doctor recruitment. I just thinking outside the box, I know a friend of mine actually hired a doctor out of, he was in Pickering. He had 4 drugstores at that time. I'm not going to name names or what name of the drugstore was, but he built himself a CAS clinic in behind his drugstore, and he also recruited a doctor himself. And he actually paid that doctor himself, but then charged OHIP through his office. So it was a turnkey for that doctor. That doctor had absolutely no staff he had to look after, like the nurse or whatever, or the nurse practitioner, or he had no paperwork to have to look after. He just simply come in, did his job, and then went home after his hours were done. So that was thinking outside the box, and it worked. I don't know how he did that with OHIP, but he was able to recoup the monies that he owed the doctor through OHIP for the different patients that he looked after. And I brought that up to the recruitment people, but it never seemed to go anywhere. They never thought nothing of it. So just another way to think outside the box if we're going to try to attract somebody that we may possibly be able to look after them somehow ourselves too. So that's just more of a comment than anything for staff, if you're interested at all or not. But so January 31st, they're talking in person now that you can possibly be to meet inside now, Candace, and you wanted us to bring something up about in-person meetings. I personally, I'm just going to make my comment first before I open it to council, is that I want us to be prepared and well set up for that and prepped, other than having nothing seem to work proper and having everybody flustered because something's not working right. So as much as I'd like to meet in person, I'd rather us make it right the first time and then we can carry on. I mean, like if we lose power or something, or the internet's down, that's beyond our control. But I'd rather make sure everything's working ahead of time. Open for comment on that one, council, and then we'll have to make a decision. Councilor Archer, I seen your hand.
I was thinking, would like a month, if we give like the month of February to get organized, does that make, that would be something I would be in favor of, like don't have any meetings till the in-person meetings till March, whatever the second Tuesday is in March.
Okay, that's a comment. Thank you. Deputy Mayor Burt.
Yeah, I was along the same line as Councillor Archer. Give the staff time to get what they need. They can test it out, maybe have, a manager's meeting over there with the technology. Let the staff feel comfortable with the technology so that it hopefully is working. We've been doing this for so long. Well, we're pushing a couple of years. A few more weeks isn't going to matter. So I agree. I don't think we need to be in a huge rush. Let's make sure the technology is there. Let's make sure it's working and go from there. So in my opinion, when staff is ready, I think council will be ready.
My other comment to that, thank you, councillors, is that I think we should give the permission that we maybe not even need it, but go ahead and get that other owl in case one drops and breaks or something anyways. If we had a spare, that would be good, even though you're saying we may need two to do a meeting. And I think it's great news that our desks are almost done. I think that's good news too. Any other comments from council at this time before we make Councillor Walsh, please?
Basically, just aligning with what's already been commented. I guess the only question, Candace, back to you is, if we leave you the month of February to test, is that fair enough for you and staff to know that potentially come our meeting in March that we feel we'd be ready to go?
I think so. I think come March 8th, we should be fine. Again, obviously, provincial regulations, the public health guidelines. If it stays that we're open, sure. And then we'll have to see what the regulations are. Is council okay to come back in person if Peterborough Public Health states that you have to wear your mask for the duration of the entire meeting?
Deputy Mayor Burt.
That's a no for me. I would find it very difficult to hear. To me, this would be more effective than being in a meeting with a mask.
I agree.
Okay, so if come March 8th, if the guidelines still state that you have to be masked to meet in person, because that's went up and down a little bit. So if the area is closed to the public and we kind of quarantine it off and we separate, you guys all have individual desks now. And if we can keep you separated by the 6 feet, And Peterborough Public Health states that in that scenario, because it's a public meeting, right? So it's not closed. If it was closed, we probably wouldn't have this concern, but when it's open to the public and you can have members of the public there, that's where the nuance is that changes it. But if we quarantine you off, they said with like a, one of those things you see at the movies with the ropes, that kind of quarantine you off to state that that area is quarantined and not open to the public, then there was that nuance, but that was under the previous medical officer of health. So we'll have to just wait and see what it's like. So I wanted kind of that direction because obviously we need to give notification to the public that we're leaving live stream of Zoom, that we are going back to in-person meetings. So am I understanding correctly? And I think I would want a motion to this, that we will gear towards March 8th, but if counselors need to be masked as per public health or provincial regulations, that we are going to extend that until that provision is lifted.
Sounds like a
Is that
good motion.
where we're at? Okay.
Yeah.
All
Who
right.
wants to make that motion? Councillor Walsh,
Yeah,
seconded by
that's fair.
Councillor Archer. Is there any other discussion on that? That's great. All in favor? Oh, sorry, discussion, Councillor Deputy Mayor Burt.
No, I just was going to say at our February, I believe it's 22nd meeting, it's certainly something we can just review quickly. If Candace wants to put that in her notes to see where we are. We're 3 weeks out from that, and just to see where we're standing as far as the regulations go. Who knows?
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
great. Any other comments before we call the vote? All right, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. So then the next thing on general business would be our special meeting for February the 17th at 8:30 in the morning. And that has to do with talking with an official plan and you said our guest, Candace, would be, who's the name again? Sorry.
Jamie Robinson from MHBC.
Thank you. All right. Is there any, we'll need a motion for that then for that special meeting so we can put that on the public board there, basically. Deputy Mayor Burt, seconded by Councillor Archer. Is there any other discussion on that meeting date? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Is there anything else under general business at this time that I may have forgotten here? All right, seeing none, then we're on to next item in our agenda then would be closed session, and we have none today. There's no notices of motion that I'm aware of. So coming close to the end here, we'll talk bylaws then, and I'll ask the clerk to read the bylaws first, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Being a bylaw to establish fees and charges to be collected by the Corporation of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-01.
Motioned by Councillor Moore, seconded by Councillor Archer. Any other discussion on that motion? Seeing none, all in favor? That's carried. Next bylaw, please.
Being a bylaw to provide for an interim tax levy and the payment of interim taxes for the year 2022, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-02.
Motioned by Deputy Mayor Burt, seconded by Councillor Walsh. Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Next bylaw, please.
Being a bylaw to appoint members to various boards and committees in the Township of Asphodel-Norwood, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-03.
And that would be motioned by Councillor Archer, seconded by Deputy Mayor Burt. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no hands, all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. And the confirming bylaw, please.
Being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the regular meeting of the Council of the Township of Asphodel-Norwood held January 25th, 2022, be read a first, second, and third time and numbered bylaw 2022-04.
Motion by Councillor Walsh, seconded by Deputy Mayor Burt. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right, council, you see our future meeting dates ahead of you. The only change on that would be the one for February the 17th. That would have to be added in for 8:30 in the morning. And I'm asking now for an adjournment then today, January 25th, 2022, to be adjourned at 3:04 p.m. with our next regular meeting to be held February 17th at 8:30. Our special meeting. Motioned by, last one, Councillor War, seconded by Councillor Archer. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you, council. That was
You muted yourself, sir.
Did.
a paper slipped past my mouse. Anyway, thank you for a great meeting today. Council, staff, everyone be safe. Great job by all. It was a very intense meeting, lots to take in. And thank you very much for being proficient with that. So have a good afternoon, and we'll see you on the 17th.
Everybody be safe.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you. Take care.